So tell us what you represent today.
Well, this is Mujeres de Maiz Opportunity Foundation, and we partner with indigenous women in a seamstress cooperative that covers about 10 communities in the highlands of Chiapas, which is the southernmost state in Mexico. And we partner with them to give them access to education, which they have no resources for. And generally after primary, if they get as far as primary, that's about the extent of education for girls. Primary takes up to 5th grade. It's not generally known that in Mexico after 5th grade, children need to pay for their education in terms of uniforms, materials, a lot of times transportation. Many of these little teeny villages have no school past the primary, and the children have to board buses and go to other towns and carry lunches, and there's just no way a family could possibly afford this. The women that we work with deal with what we call a triple oppression. They are victims of racism and sexism and poverty. And the poverty is pretty abject. So we feel that by giving girls a chance to have an education or to be exposed to anything related to education will definitely boost the opportunities for these women. And a number of our women didn't get this education. Some of our women are right off the hacienda system, which means that it's like how the coal mines operations worked in where you have a company store and you can't ever get off the system. It's pretty much indentured servitude or almost slavery. And some of the women that we're dealing with and are taking our literacy programs, actually they requested the literacy programs. In one of our towns, our women that were on the hacienda system until they were in their probably early teens. So they got no education at all. And they are now learning to read and write, and it's really exciting every once in a while to get an email or a letter that says this is the first time I've done anything on a computer, and you know it's pretty basic Spanish, but they're really coming along. We pride ourselves in always listening to the assessments of the women with whom we work as to their needs. So we're not going in and telling them what they need. They are assessing their situation and letting us know. So relationship to education takes the form of scholarships, and we have girls starting at 6th grade for secondary, and we have a young woman as old as 30 who's finishing up a college degree, which she's been with us the whole time she's been in college. We are now funding these women's literacy programs in 2 communities. One has 3 women learning to read and write, and the other has a whole group of 15 that are enrolled in a full-year program with certified instructors, which is a community way out in the boonies, and the women there are just thrilled about this. We fund all kinds of workshops, including leadership workshops, marketing workshops. We had Al-Anon come in and talk to people because of the alcohol problem with the men, which is extreme in the indigenous communities. Any kind of workshops that art, we're looking at music, we're looking at some science workshops that we'll give to the girls when they're, and the women as well, because everybody needs them. Every community now that we work with has a laptop computer that we brought down and a solar light, so women can continue to sew and to study in the evening hours when there is either no electricity or very irregular electricity. And one of our towns, Sinacantan, this community, has set up a year-long children enrichment program on Saturdays for children that were struggling, and so they're going to be reinforcing academic skills. They're going to be teaching literacy in Tzotzil, the Maya language, and they're doing all kinds of things like self-esteem, creativity workshops, recycling garbage workshops for a whole year of programs. So this is one of our absolute newest programs. And any woman in the cooperative that is interested, and all the scholarship recipients get eye exams, and we've given over 45 pairs of classes. The older women need the bifocals. It's very culturally, I don't want to say culturally wrong, but culturally not accepted yet to wear glasses. So the more women we get that will wear them at certain times, they're starting to be the role models. And role modeling is probably one of the most important things, is that as the girls learn to express their own voices and realize they have more opportunities because of education, that all of a sudden they're being the role models in communities where there were no women role models at all. It was all male role models. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing, and our new goal is we're looking at purchasing a piece of land, or helping them purchase a piece of land, and then constructing a center where they can, because they're renting right now, they come in bi-monthly and meet for 4-day workshops from these communities, and they're renting a place, which is just money out the window. So this new center would be a place for their monthly meetings. It would be a place for other cooperatives to come in and have interaction with them. It might be a domestic abuse safe center. We're still kind of thinking about that. It would be a center for workshops. It would be a place for women and girls to stay that are coming in for education in San Cristobal, and they're too far away to go home every night when the education has to take place in the city, when there's not enough education outside. So that is our big goal coming up, and so we're just really excited about all this. Any questions?
Just the picture of the feet and the nylon.
Isn't it? I love that picture. That is in the communities, one of the outlying communities of the town of Sinacantan, and I was out there with one of our scholarship recipients, and she was doing an interview with a town elder, and it was partly in Tzotzil, partly in Spanish, and I was just privileged to be on the outside of this watching, and the woman next to me had these feet, and they were just the most wonderful feet, and you're not, so I'm very surreptitiously with the camera, just kind of not really paying attention, and I got her feet, because I didn't want to ask her if I could take a picture of her feet, but yeah, the women typically, until recently, always went barefoot and walked behind the men. I mean, it's really hard for the women to express themselves. They're just pretty much been told to put up and shut up. And that's in their own words. I'm quoting there.
In terms of education, you mentioned that a number don't have. Is there a requirement by law by the government that to go through a certain grade, or they don't have to, are required not to go past, like in Bolivia, it's 6th grade?
I think it's the same thing. It's up through 5th grade. So, but these indigenous communities are so far out that the law doesn't really have much to do with them. So it's pretty iffy. And of course, if there are 2 children and one's a male, and they just have that much money, then the male will get it. One of the things we have put into our scholarships is, and no one's taken us up on this yet, but if there's an objection because of the child already making money on the outside, and let's say the father would not want her to go to school because that would be the end of the money coming in, that we would provide a stipend back. But it's amazing, at least 3 or 4 of our scholarship recipients' fathers are already dead by the age of early 30s due to alcoholism. So we're not contending with men in some of these issues. It's an incredible difficulty down there, indigenous alcoholism, on the part of men. Yeah.
How did you guys come up with the name?
Well, the cooperative with whom we work started in about 1994, and their name is Mujeres de Maiz en Resistencia, so women of the corn, in resistance to all these things that they're confronting. So we just took their name.
And this other cooperative are the indigenous women themselves, or?
We are a niche of their cooperative, at least we say we're a niche of their cooperative, and their cooperative extends, there's probably only 100 women members, but then by the time you look at family members and the community things, it really is a ripple effect. And then the community women, they do a lot of workshops that we fund and have bring other people in from the communities, and then those people go out in their communities and have talks. So it's really hard to quantify the number of people that we're reaching, but it's definitely, it just moves out in ripples. Any other questions?
So if I make a donation today, buy a gift, what will that money go towards?
Well, at the moment, of course, we're funding everything all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a specific request, we can kind of, angle it that way. The new projects are the women's literacy programs and the children's enrichment classes. These are the new ones, but scholarships are going along all the time, as are everything except laptops. We're just on top of the laptops right now. The last village just got its laptop, so hopefully we're okay on that. And then the new land goal and the construction of the center will eventually save them a lot of money. And also we'll be hopefully a green building. We're looking at a green building, and we're looking at self-sustaining buildings so that they can rent part of it out. And the coordinator can also live there, and then she won't have to be on a stipend.
And then the equipment, like, I think y'all had talked about a tractor?
No. No tractor. Somebody else.
Great. Thank you.